1.
Holiness family, as again, honor and a pleasure to take just a few moments to introduce an idea that we're going to link into everything that we've been talking about. But there's an element that we all are struggling with, have been struggling with, as long as we've been in this simulated reality, something to call an enemy that we have not understood. And what we're going to do now that we are moving out of this realm of consciousness, and we're going to share what that enemy is and how to let that go so that you can ascend into, this organic, reality that's promised to us. So with that, I'm going to just go very short. I just want to introduce it, and I want you to think about it so that you can see where our struggles come from. And sometimes, you'll be trying to figure out, various things, and it gets a little complex, and even frustrating to many, you know. But nevertheless, I'm going to title this The Allegorical Enemy That Becomes the Historical and Contemporary Reality. Now I'm going to take the time and go through this again. Allegorical enemy that becomes the historical enemy and the contemporary reality. Now, we all have been introduced in this reality that we contemporarily reside in the flesh. And we constantly blame, other forces that we call the devil and Satan and Lucifer and all these terms that we, contribute to being quote unquote an enemy. And you get into some very, complex disagreements and arguments about these things. And it can be very confusing and just outright frustrating. People break up about, people being a friend and then turn to be an enemy and all of that. So I want us to see this just like it is, how complex it is, but then we're going to what? Walk through this and then break it down. Of course, not today. Like I said, we're just introducing it today because I want it to be understood.
Did we lose the sound?
Yes,
I don't know.
I
Can you
can't
hear
hear
me
no
now?
stick.
For a minute.
we lost
Okay.
you for a minute, Nasi. Could you go back and repeat what you said?
Yeah. What I was saying is that although Eitai is teaching us these things that are new to us, we struggle with them because we have been given a perception and been programmed to see things differently. And seeing things differently is based upon the experience and the programming of the simulated reality. This creates a frustration, that, and you're not getting it. You're just not understanding. And, you're looking at your conditions and you want to shift out of the conditions. You want things to change. And then eventually you have to what? Create, within yourself as somebody holding you back or somebody is an enemy, you know. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our time and just introduce it, and then we're going to turn it back over to Eitai. We're going to start by saying, how does the allegorical enemy become a real enemy as one of an opposite. I'll say it again. How does the allegorical enemy become a real enemy as one of an opposite? Now remember, now we're talking about an allegory, and we're going to come to explaining what that is. How does this allegorical enemy become a real enemy? First, let us look at the definition of allegory. We can find our answer in the concept within the term allegorical, which is an adjective, and it was coined in 1528. Now, I always like to use these dates because I want to keep us locked into what we're using as our measuring rod, that we are saying that our knowledge base has been concealed and hid in the book called the Bible.
That's right.
And we got to understand these dates as to coincide with this historical period of time that is called slavery. Okay? So that we can kind of put this in perspective. And we got to do this because as we look at such scholars as Dan Galloway and things that he is revealing about the reality versus the fallacy, it becomes kind of mind-boggling because you've been made to believe all these things that you've been living.
That's right.
As being real, you know.
Okay.
And so as we go on, we said we find it in this allegorical adjective, and it reads on this wise: allegorical, having hidden, concealed, spiritual meanings that transcend the literal sense of a text. Now, so when you read the narrative of the text of any biblical verses, whatever chapter you may be reading, we're saying that this is an allegorical narrative, and in this allegorical narrative, there's some hidden spiritual meanings that if you don't go, to the essence of this symbol or its reality based upon what it is, projecting beneath the surface, you will miss it, and you will see that, well, this is just, contemporary stuff that I've heard before.
That's
so when you hear someone else go, beneath that and bring forth another interpretation or meaning, then now you're in conflict now, because it doesn't fit with what you have traditionally been programmed to see. Keep in mind, it said they have eyes and what? See not.
That's right.
Ears and hear not.
That's right.
So we can put all this in perspective. It says the other view of the same word as a part of speech is the noun form. Now the noun form gonna give us the particulars here. Now the noun form was 14th century, and it said the expression by means of symbolic fictions, figures, and this brings me to a point that is always say, well, Jesus, there was no historical person, that lived called Jesus, but it was a person called Yeshua. Okay. Well, my question was, well, if Jesus was real, well, who is Yeshua? Who is he depicting? Because we don't understand these fictional figures and actions, fictional figures and actions
Yes, sir.
of truth. Fictional figures and actions of truth or generalizations, not specific,
Right.
not personal, but generalizations about humans' existence. So you wasn't talking about a human existence that was historical, an action and a name and all these people. You wasn't talking about that. You're talking about the generalizations of existence of fictional figures and their actions about truth. I hope that's catches you there. Think about that as I go into the final part. The allegorical enemy that becomes the historical and contemporary reality, this allegorical enemy becomes an enemy that was not such a thing as an enemy. Now, let me say that again. This allegorical enemy becomes an enemy that was not such a thing as an enemy. You say, well, how did it become an enemy then? If there was no such thing as an enemy, we go on to say, yeah, this allegorical enemy becomes an enemy that was not historical because it was just an allegory.
Right.
It was just an allegory all the time. It was never historical. But here's the trick. Once the allegory moves into and becomes the quote simulated reality, it is at this point onward that the allegorical enemy, which was not historical, becomes the contemporary enemy.
There you go.
And thus became a real historical enemy. So when we look at the cycle of time that we call slavery, that we went through, from that period of time today, we can call that historical, that our people, we live that.
Right.
But prior to that, you understand, all of those things that we're talking about, those names of those was what? Allegorical, fiction, figures of human action and existence. Now, when you think about that, and then you look from this point on, you can say, well, oh, wow. And now, once this simulated reality comes into existence, you now are saddled with trying to figure out where this enemy comes from. Who is the enemy? That's the question. Now, we go on to say, let us reason together on this critical concept that causes everyone to hate, to be hostile, to be an enemy. The question is, where is the enemy? Who is this dreaded enemy? That's the question we're going to stop with today. Give you something to think about, and then come Mosai Shabbat Yom Rishon, or whenever we will get into giving you a greater explanation of it. So, Eitai family, I just wanted to introduce that, give us something to think about, and then you can take it from here.
Oh, Toda Rabbah, excellent. And Nasi, a very appropriate, as usual, lead in to what it is that we want to explain and put on view today.
Excellent.
What we have, the greater context, Nasi, and this is going to be so appropriate, again, to where we are going in this. The greater context, and one that is going to fit, again, very appropriately into what we are talking about. What we must understand in this cyclical system of time, we have periods of evolution and devolution.
Right.
You got to hear me. We have a periods of descension and ascension within these great periods called yugas or yomes or days, heavens. All right,
Cain, John Cain.
they are predicated on cycles of time. And now, see, you dealt with this yesterday as well, I believe, uh, when we stopped recording.
Uh-huh.
No. Actually, Malkiel, this is the amazing thing about it. I was here, Malkiel was reading a document that you had done like decades ago, where you were.
Eitai, may I, at this point, I don't mean to cut you off, but
No.
let me give a little clarity on this document.
Okay.
Now, Mark Hill and I talked earlier today. Actually, I didn't do the document.
Uh-huh.
Abishalig did the document, but
Wow.
let me say this in respect to the document. He never actually finished the document. He put it out, and as he transitioned, it got out. But he laid the foundation, and I told Markel today, I have a copy of it, and I had started to, bring it up to date, so to speak, because many of the things that we are talking about now was not available in that cycle of time for it to be, brought into existence and placed, in the hearings of everybody. But the foundation of it, the idea, was perfect and was on time.
Absolutely.
In that sense. But we need to do some updating of it, and I told Mark to go ahead on and start on that. I don't know, it probably got into the DC through me some kind of way, but
right.
I'm not the writer of it. Okay. I did start kind of, putting it in a more suitable and upgraded, kind of way of reading it. Okay.
Correct.
So I just wanted to clear that up. Okay.
Right. Got you. But instead that and what you clarified here makes it even more amazing and even more profound that it came from Abba Shaliach, that he was dealing with this aspect of time,
right,
that we're talking about today, and in much the same terms as I will be uh, uh, presenting as an introduction right now. So these cycles of time, very important, because there were from ancient times, Nasi, there were
right,
periods of ascension and periods of descension. Each of these periods were governed by a particular system of knowledge.
absolutely.
So when one cycle would decline and the other cycle would ascend, the knowledge that governed the previous cycle, listen, was demonized.
Yep.
Was demonized. Why? Because we would not have to, it didn't mean it was evil, family. It just meant that it was not appropriate for the particular cycle of time that they were evolving into.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say that again, because you can find this throughout history. And let's talk about this in simple terms, in religious terms, in terms of a god of a particular era becoming what? The devil in an emerging era. We see this all the time. Are you all with me?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the prevailing knowledge, again, of a particular season or a particular yom or a particular eon or a particular age, whatever knowledge govern that age, there's always a transitional point within these cycles of, again, one thing in descension and another particular thing in ascension. And there are knowledge bases that govern each of those particular cycles. And so one becomes outlawed and demonized, again, based on the fact that it is not appropriate. Ascension knowledge is not appropriate when you are descending, and
Right.
vice versa. And again, it is a new word that is needed. It is a new word, a new thought that what is going to characterize and create and be the inception of a new transition, whether it's a transition down or a transition up. Now, if we can't understand that, I mean, it's no need to even continue. Now, see,
Right. Right.
this is self-evident that a knowledge that was supreme and that governed one age would not be appropriate in another age. So it was vilified, it was demonized. Not that it was evil, because if you know history, you can look back and say, well, and determine for yourself that, yeah, this particular knowledge was appropriate and did what it's supposed to do. But if you're looking at this thing from a moralistic standpoint, from a simply a human standpoint, and you're trying to resolve these, again, paradoxes and apparent seeming contradictions with the human intellect, well, this is where you are.
Yeah.
And you're having difficulty for a reason. So we're going to lead into this. Again, Nasi, I'm really looking forward to hearing you expound upon this, because this is necessary.
Oh, we're gonna get it.
And this understanding is going to have to be our handmaiden
Right. Right.
as we make this transition. It's going to have
Okay.
this particular wisdom and knowledge on this is going to have to attend us and to walk with us, because we get into a point, we're at the wilderness journey. It's unfamiliar territory, people.
Okay.
And,
Right, Eitai. Right.
and when you're in the wilderness or you're in the jungle, now see, because you lost in the woods, all the trees start to look the same.
You sure right, Eitai.
And when you're in the desert, didn't we just walk here? You know, and you get to the point that Nasi is pointing out and brilliantly bringing to our attention, where you are not differentiating correctly and discriminating properly You know, we're gonna really get into this now, Seek, and this is, I mean, we ain't even talked about this, but
This is,
this is the
you
lead.
know,
This is the lead in. So we talked about this symbol.
hallelujah.
Hallelujah is right. We talked about this symbol, this alchemical process, as related to this alchemical symbol called the hangman. All right, the hangman, and we talked about the alchemical process of the hangman was this term calcination, and I had asked everyone to look up the definition. I was instructed by the ancestors to not give the definition, to so it gave you a chance to look it up on your own and incorporate it, so that you could witness your ability to incorporate it within the framework of everything that we have talked about thus far. And again, Miss Ura, I believe it was after we stopped recording yesterday, gave the definition to calcination, and gave a brilliant uh, explication of that, an explanation of that, that proved to me that, you know, she has a perfect understanding of how this thing fits into the journey that we're on. So we're going to take again a look at this tarot card, this symbol of the hangman. And for you all who maybe have you know, that the tarot is strange to you, the hangman just represents Jesus on the cross. We're familiar with this symbol. So, but we hear terms like tarot, and, you know, again, you know, these things have been vilified in our minds and made an enemy. But again, this was a source of wisdom during a particular time, during a particular time period that was what? Vilified and outlawed for a purpose. And as it relates to the prophetic framework that we've established, we had to disconnect from our power. Nasiq referred to it during this captivity period, which was an alchemical ritual that was performed in order for us to repair a flaw. So everything that would cause us to ascend, including these symbols, including these allegories, we had to disconnect ourselves from, so that we what? So that we might go to sleep, so that we might be anesthetized throughout this process, so that this alchemical work could be done, and done successfully, and done completely. But now it's time, family, to pick these things back up and to reconnect with them.
Absolutely.
But the problem is, some of us we're not allowing ourselves to remember these things. And to the best of our ability, we are presenting these things in their true and genuine meaning, so that we can all accept these things as ours. But again, I see this old programming has been so deeply ingrained and entrained
Deeply, thoroughly ingrained.
and implanted in us, that it is causing this difficulty. for us to let go
Absolutely.
and complete this process. So, we're clear. And if you're having difficulty, I mean, you have to get clarity on this, and you must do it by that is achieved only by going inside and doing this inventory. The information is here. We're presenting this information. We're giving you the uh, the terms, and so that you can research it for yourself and put these things together and syncretize these things on your own for yourself. You will not get it just on these 2-3 hour calls. It won't happen. You have to go back and do the work. So the alchemical process of the hangman is this term called calcination. Matter or body is what? Suspended over fire. Suspended means hung, right?
Yeah.
Or
Dang.
a corrosive agent. For what purpose? To reduce it to white ash. The Codex Germanicus shows calcination represented by a man hanged from gallows or hung from a cross or a tree. The crucified serpent is Mercury, which must be sacrificed to complete the work. And we said that Mercury was the messenger of the gods, so to speak, or the message, or the gospel, or the zeitgeist of a particular age. The knowledge that governed what? A particular age. And we saw the serpent, what? Connected to the cross as well. We're going to really decode all of these symbols. All right? So the knowledge has to die that brought you to a particular point of what? Transition and transformation. You must understand this from those terms, because this is why these things were symbolized in such a way. The crucified serpent is Mercury, which must be sacrificed to complete the work. And when you complete your work, you do what? Rest. You Shabbat. And hanging upside down, the hangman is losing his gold. Now, we're going to talk about this word gold, which represents the loss of worldly possessions, or loss of what? The world or the age that possessed you, the knowledge that possessed you, self-esteem, or a sense of our role in the world. We were playing a role under a particular system of knowledge. In Hebrew, the word for gold is the word Ophir. Ophir. And we're going to talk about a particular scripture verse in Exodus where we saw gold, what? Reduced to ashes. Now I think if you're still looking at these scripture verses as anything but an allegory,
Right.
you're not going to be able to see this, and it's going to be to your harm.
Right.
and,
Right.
and to your confusion, because I'm going to show you very carefully and very deliberately that these scripture verses have another hidden meaning.
Right.
But if you want to continue to look at them literally, well, then it will be impossible for what? You to transition to the next level.
Won't do it. Won't do it.
And you'll just be stuck.
Pop.
You'll just be stuck in the old age under the dominion and possession of old knowledge.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're in the ascension realm.
Hey.
So the knowledge, again, that led you to this transitional point, this should be self-evident. It should be apparent. It should be obvious that that knowledge won't allow you to continue. You are going to need a new word, a new zeitgeist, a new system of knowledge that's going to what? Take you to the next realm. I mean, this is why in elementary school you graduate.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The third grade knowledge is that's good. I mean, it doesn't mean it's evil, but the transition to fourth grade will require what? Higher knowledge and a
Educate.
higher understanding, as well as fifth grade, sixth grade. And you must continue to evolve through these cycles of time, these ages, these eons, these different levels. So, this aspect of reducing to ashes, calcinatio or calcination, is the first step in most alchemical processes. It is the thermal decomposition of material. Elements are submitted to fire, superheating them until what? All impurities dissolve into ash. What is left is only that which is essential, only that which can embody what? The transcendent. There's a certain knowledge that led you to this point, but you have to reduce it down. Now, see,
Uh-huh.
that means you get rid of it entirely. It was helpful. It was necessary. It was
Right.
appropriate for that particular level. But it can only lead you to what? A transcendent or transitional point. That's what it was supposed to do.
That's what it was supposed to do.
Now, family, you tip your cap to that, and then you look upward, onward, forward to what? Another knowledge, another system of knowledge that's going to what? Carry you through this next aspect of transition.
That's how you know you're ascending.
That's right. And it's just apparent. It is self-evident that it would not be what? It might be related to that old knowledge, but it wouldn't be that old knowledge unless you want to do
Right.
what? Repeat the third grade.
Right. That's right.
But this is now see, this is what this simulated reality is. It's just a repetitive recycling, endless
That's what it is.
repetitive
That's,
recycling of what? The same old thing. Eat, eliminate waste, eat, work, eliminate waste. Eat, work, eliminate waste. Eat, work, eliminate waste. A constant recycling of the same thing. That's the simulated reality.
right. That's it.
But if that's your bag, if that's your thing, just to stay with what is familiar, then make yourself at home. Exodus 32 and 20. Now remember, the setting of Exodus is the movement from what? Egypt into what? The wilderness, a place that is unfamiliar, into what? The promised land.
Yeah,
Wasn't that the understanding?
that's
Okay.
it.
The understanding, family, was not to go back to Egypt and the knowledge that governed it, not to stay in the wilderness, the suspended transitional period, but to move on to something that is new, to a new experience, to a new reality, to a new realm, a new age. So you remember, Moses had gone up to get the new instructions.
Right, right.
And he come down, now see, they're going backwards.
Yeah,
Now, the golden calf
Go
was
out
just
there and
a
play
symbol.
like you got to play like you playing somebody that's good, because they going to mess up your game. I'm telling you. You got to hit the ball.
So we have often, when we read this about the golden bull, now see, we look at the golden bull as an enemy,
oh, absolutely right.
as something that is evil. But the golden bull was something, it represented a form of knowledge that had got them what? To the transitional point of the wilderness. And the only reason that it was that we can say evil like that, and I don't like to use that term, is that that knowledge would it could not be used in the transition.
Right,
This is why the people were saying these are they said exactly this. These are the gods that brought you out of what? Captivity to this point. True, because they had no understanding. They had to be reintroduced to the God of Israel, correct?
yeah,
It hadn't happened yet. And so the tendency was to do what? Hold on to those things that brought you to the wilderness. They were correct. They didn't have no understanding, now see, of no Yahweh. This is why
right,
Moses had to ask in the allegory, when I come to them, they've forgotten you.
right.
What shall I say is the name of this new knowledge? So they were correct in saying that now see, they had been programmed under what? The golden winged bull or calf.
Right.
Under that system, in the same way in the captivity in America, that we were what? Programmed under another system of knowledge,
That's it.
which had what? Work, avad, worship, servitude as what? Its highest ideal.
Highest ideal. Highest ideal.
Now, how you gonna enter into the prophetic Shabbat rest, holding on to work as your God?
Right.
Simple as that.
Huh, huh, huh.
Simple as that.
Boy. Mm.
Exodus 32 and 20. So when Moses comes down, sees them dancing around this golden winged bull, this golden calf, he took the gold. Now remember, the hangman is losing his gold. Y'all see this?
Yeah.
So that represents what was valuable to you in a particular age that has what? Passed by, that is passing by, that is transitioning. So he took the golden winged bull or the calf, which they had made, burn it with fire. That's calcination, right? And ground it to powder, ash, and strawed it upon the water, and did what? Made the children of Israel drink it. This is an alchemical, that's alchemy, y'all. That's an alchemical process. First of all, gold, you cannot burn gold to ash. It's got to be allegorical. It's
Gotta
got to
be,
be
right.
symbolic. The only thing you can do with
Okay.
gold is turn it into liquid.
That's it.
So it can't be talking about something that is literal. Am I right or wrong?
Oh, you're right.
Right?
So it's talking about an alchemical process. And alchemy, we said this, wasn't about turning no lead to gold. That's just that's just something put out there literally for literal minded people in an attempt to hide the true meaning of what this process is about. The fire represents calcination. Listen, that is the burning up of the old material, the old knowledge. That was the winged bull, the knowledge that had got them from captivity to what? The wilderness, the transitional period. That is the old knowledge that has governed, sustained, and protected the lower ego persona and led it, and led it to this transformational or transitional point. This is where we all are on this call. And if not, somebody else explain where we are. If we are not at a transitional point.
Mm-hmm.
The ash represents another step in the process, in an alchemical process. You have calcination, and then you have the ash. And then the next step, once you get the ash, is dissolution. That is dissolving with water, the dissolving with water of the ash remnants left from the burning. Isn't that what they did? Isn't that what we just read?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's talking about an alchemical process. And if you don't understand that this is an allegory and something that was not designed to be understood literally, then you must explain to me or show me how you can put gold in fire and reduce it to ash. You can't do it because it is not supposed to be understood literally according to the text. It is an allegory, exactly the way Nazi explained it when he showed you the definition of the adjective, allegorical, and the noun, allegory. So the dissolution portion is taking the ash and dissolving it with water. What was left over from the burning, from the calcination process. And what this is designed to do is not to teach you how to work with metals like that. It's to teach you how to do this internal inventory, internal work, and what the results of
Mm-hmm.
it,
Okay, so
what the nature of it is.
Okay.
And to
yes.
let us know that one must let go of old patterns of attitudes, old beliefs, dependency,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
attachments, judgments,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But that was the story. If we look into it, that was the story in Exodus, and it's explicated perfectly. But it wasn't about nothing about no children of Israel, no
Right.
historic children of Israel coming out of Egypt. Look, the Egyptians in their mythology, now see,
Yes, sir.
have a story of them
Right.
coming out of Egypt, a
Right.
portion of
Right.
them coming out of Egypt. And we know that that was historically them going to what? Greece, going
Mm-hmm.
to the Indus Valley, to the Hindus. That's why all this stuff can be syncretized,
Mm-hmm.
because it came from one historical source. But you're not supposed to understand everything historically from a historical standpoint. So this is talking about transitioning, family, from the human to the divine. And again, that is the story of Jesus and the Christ, that Christ energy, that divine energy that is the true nature of us all.
Eitai, if I may,
Go ahead.
family, what we need to hear is that we coming up this weekend
Yes,
to a particular time cycle that everybody that misunderstood about Passover.
yes,
Now, if you don't put Passover within the context of what we're talking about here, you're gonna miss it, and you'll be trying to keep the Passover in its old traditional way,
Right.
and saying that you got to transition out of this old form of knowledge that then brought was good. It brought us to this point.
Mm-hmm.
But we must get into the ascension realm and the understanding of what that knowledge is to do to take us to the next level. Other
Yes.
than that, you ain't keeping Passover.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
let's put
Great
it
point,
this
Nasi.
way, family. Yeah, absolutely, Nasi. See, uh, the Shabbat is supposed to serve us.
Mm-hmm.
Shavuot is supposed to serve us.
That's right.
The Passover is supposed to serve us, not us
Right.
serving the Passover.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what
Mm-hmm.
we've been doing under the simulated reality, because the simulated reality is all about work and service and
Right.
labor
Yes.
and toil,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you being subservient to what? Laws, statutes, judgments, commandments. So essentially, this is about all of this is to aid us in its proper understanding. It is supposed to serve us, Nasi,
Absolutely.
and aid us in our transition from
Right.
human to divine.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes so much sense.
Matthew 16 now. Again, this is allegorical. This ain't about no difference between Jesus and Yeshua. Jesus, the fictional character, and I don't care what you call him. He is an allegorical character.
Mm-hmm.
And the narrative, like Nasik explained, and that he will explain again, was designed not for us to understand some literal actions of a literal historic figure, and then to what? Believe in that,
Right.
and to worship and serve Jesus Christ or Yeshua. Because if you have that understanding, I don't care what you call him.
Mm-hmm.
You either gonna be a Christian Hebrew or a Hebrew Christian. So it's just as plain and simple as that. These are allegorical stories that are designed to aid us in our transition in our journey and transition. Matthew 16:20 through 28. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ. This is the point when we understand our divine nature. The disciples are not historic figures that, again, lived in history. All of this is describing what goes on in our path or our journey to what? Enlightenment, illumination, or Christ consciousness, higher consciousness. So Jesus represents you. And in the 20th verse, this is you realizing that you are divine. The disciples, we're going to find out, are 12 elements that reside in each of us. They are related to the 7 major chakra, that's 7, the chakra that is in the earth, that's 8, and the 4 chakras on top of the head that accompany the crown chakra. That's 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. These are energy centers within us that need to be disciplined. Prior to when we were unconscious, these things ruled over us. They determined our life, made life choices for us, and determined therefore our destiny. We are Jesus. And in the 20th verse, he reached that path or that point in the journey, that point on the path where he understood that he was divine. Now, we have to ask ourselves, again, this is the question, Malkiel.
Mm-hmm.
Have you realized and accepted the fact that you are divine? Or are you a human trying to what? Work your way to divinity. Serve your way to divinity. labor your way to divinity, toil your way to divinity? Or are you a divinity that has understand you are just having a human experience, as Jesus in this case? Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the 20th verse,
Absolutely.
the 20th verse is us, Jesus, realizing that we are divine. If in fact we've reached that point in our conscious development. From that time forth, Jesus began to show his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and what? Suffer many things of the elders. Now the elders represent something that is old,
Mm-hmm.
a particular system of knowledge that reigns over what? Humans. The elders, chief priests, scribes, it just represents the hierarchy of knowledge that governed prior, and be killed and be raised again on the third day. The third day, again, this fits in perfectly with the framework that has been set for us. The third day is actually the third yom, or
Yeah.
as we'll see later, the third heaven. That's
Right.
what?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the astral plane, which consists of the first two yomim. And we'll go over
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
these things later. So the allegory, again, just like Exodus 32, what we read, the allegory, the narrative, Nasi, is conforming exactly to the allegory and our understanding
Absolutely.
of symbols.
Right.
If anyone can prove that they are not, then I'll listen. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have an argument,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't talk about nothing else now. See, but these symbols.
Yeah.
So if we are misinterpreting the symbols,
Oh, we're in trouble.
show us how. But if not, man, this thing is moving along smoothly. And
Yes.
we have what? Not moved to the left hand and to the we stayed and kept everyone else what? Directly on the path.
Mm-hmm. Can't show.
Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, so again, Peter represents something that is inside of all of us, and it's appropriate. Now, see, it is what you pointed out. It is that thing with us, that is
Yeah.
within us, that does not want to transition for some reason,
That's not what.
Mm-hmm.
wants to hold on to the
Hey,
old life, that wants to keep what? The calf, keep sacrificing to the calf, keep acknowledging the calf, the old knowledge that has led us to this point. And he began to rebuke him, saying, be it far from thee, Lord. This is just a conversation that takes place within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This shall not be unto thee. The survival imperative, that's what this represents. The survival imperative. We're going to go through each of the disciples at one point. Now, see, it's just the proof is just insurmountable.
Insurmountable, Eitai.
We're going to go
Insurmountable.
through and decode each of the disciples' names. And I'm going to prove it to you that it represents something inside of you
Yeah.
that what? Must be disciplined. And
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
each of them represent these things, just like Peter is. They represent these different aspects of us within the narrative. Now, see, within they doing what?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So
That's what a disciple is, one that disciplines himself.
that one that disciplines himself.
Right, right.
So this is the survival imperative that is within all of us that has to be overcome. This aspect of fight or flight, the instinct of the ego that always wants to protect itself from what? Change, transition. Man, let's just keep doing what we've been doing. I don't know what, Nasik and Eitai, they ain't talking about stuff we familiar with. So, hey, look, let's
Right.
just stay here.
Right.
Eitai saying, y'all way out there. Y'all way out there.
Right.
Right. Right.
I mean,
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly where I want to be.
yeah.
Exactly. Sure.
I don't want to be inside this simulated reality.
No more, no more.
Mm-mm. No.
I guess. Thanks
They
thanks for the compliment, I guess.
they call
Yeah.
me adventurous.
That's
They
right.
say I'm adventurous. That's it.
Look, the promised land was way out there. And the people had these same fears. Man, this is a hard what Moses and them talking about. Man, that's way out there.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they do? They kept comparing it to Egypt. When we was in Egypt, we ate this.
Right.
Right.
Hey, now see, get ready to hear that when you
Right.
this intermittent fasting. Please get ready to hear that. That ain't what that ain't what Abba told us to do.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We at a transitional point. Should be obvious. So Peter represents this survival imperative that is within all of us. That Nasik is not evil, is necessary. It was necessary to do what? Protect us and guide us through this transitional period, through our evolution.
Yeah.
So we had to be careful in this environment. But he turned to him and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me. Now he's just talking to himself. For thou savorest these are these thoughts that are against transition. These human thoughts. For thou
Mm-hmm.
savorest the things that rather the things that be of God, but those of men. You don't want to make the transition. You want to stay human. Man, I got to get rid of all those thoughts, Malkia, because they holding me back.
Yeah, buddy.
I got to bring those things
Dang.
into
Can.
discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Then said Jesus unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Now, again, this is related to the cross, the tree, related to the hangman. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. And whosoever shall lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? For what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste death until they see the
Mm-hmm.
Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Some people are going to opt for what? Physical death. Once they,
Right.
but it's not a bad thing. If I'm finished with my work, why do I want to keep on in this system? Now, see,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
this is not
Mm-hmm.
everybody.
Uh,
This is not everyone now. See, we haven't heard,
Mm-hmm.
we hear things, but we have not considered the whole of the matter. We won't allow ourselves to do it.
Right.
And that becomes half wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
That won't profit us. It'll only get us, wow, it'll only get us halfway there. Then we'll be stuck what? Hanging between two things.
Mm-hmm.
And what is keeping us on the cross? That old wisdom, the serpent.
Right.
yeah.
The number 12 relates to the 12 months in the solar year and symbolizes the sacrifice of the solar hero. The solar hero family has to give way to the cosmic hero. I'm going to say it again. The solar hero must give way to the cosmic
Mm-hmm.
hero.
Mm-hmm.
Flesh and blood cannot what? Inherit the kingdom of God. Either that's in the
Okay.
scriptures, I just made that up.
Okay.
It's in the scripture.
Eitai,
Yes, sir.
when you stated that the serpent keeps us on the
In between two things. It represents the old knowledge, Nazar. Hello? I think we lost him. We'll let him get back. Nazar, you back?
could you hear me?
I didn't hear you. If you could repeat it again. Hold on. Let me mute my mic. Go ahead, Nazar.
I say when you made that statement about the serpent keeping us on the tree, on the cross, is that why we have to be wiser than the serpent?
Well, we have to be as wise as the serpent, as wise,
Okay.
but as innocent as doves. The serpent just represents a form of knowledge, a form of
Okay.
wisdom.
Okay.
And again, we're talking about the wisdom that what has led us to this transitional point where we're hanging between
Okay.
two worlds, hanging between two
Mm-hmm.
ages, hanging
Mm-hmm.
between what? Two identities.
Yes.
Y'all with me?
Okay.
Okay.
So the number 12 relates to the months in the solar year and symbolizes the sacrifice of the solar hero. The hero, what we've identified with up to this point. What? Under this solar system. So I can't be a solar hero. Now see, in a
Right.
cosmic reality, it's
No.
Right.
impossible.
No.
The solar hero has to die.
Yeah.
Dang.
And again, it's just like the, the knowledge of a caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
The knowledge of the caterpillar and what has protected and sustained the caterpillar family leads it up to the point where the caterpillar begins to do what? Weave that cocoon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's a
Woo.
form of
Wait a
death.
minute.
It's a form of death, the death of the caterpillar, but the entity doesn't die.
Right. Right.
It is just transformed, now see,
That's
into
the
Mm-hmm.
what?
word. Transform. Right.
Into a butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
That's Jesus becoming the Christ. That's the human becoming divine.
Eitai.
Yes, sir.
Kind of jumping ahead, but just to kind of bridge what you're saying, hopefully that it will help Nazar. Nazar, this is what you remember on the transfiguration. And in
Dang.
transfiguration, what did he say? He heard unspeakable words. But why was the words unspeakable? They were not unspeakable to those that had transitioned, but those that had not transitioned, they were unspeakable. They could not relate to him. Because he had what?
Dang.
Moved from one level to the next. You follow me?
Absolutely.
All right. All right.
You,
I see. That's
um,
because it's a new word. It would have to be a new
Yeah.
thought, a new language. You can't be talking caterpillar language to a butterfly. You don't know what
oh,
you're talking about. Go ahead, Mr.
you heard me. I'm sorry. That you just gave is a good example. The knowledge of the caterpillar while he's in the cocoon, that served him in the cocoon. I say we're about to emerge from the cocoon, and that's where the transformation into the butterfly takes place.
That's correct.
So that's from one form to the other. Remember the other day when I was talking to you about the movie The Cocoon?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And
Yeah,
they went into it and they were transformed when they came out of it.
that's correct.
So that was a good title. I guess that's what he thought of. All
That's
right.
correct. That's correct. So
And Eitai, can I expand on that?
absolutely, sir.
Dang.
The 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 vision of the Father was that new thought at that time.
That's correct.
Dang.
The 50 years was the cocoon.
There you go, Malkiel.
Now,
Hold up, Malkiel. Actually,
Ken,
That's right.
it was 40.
yes, okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that number 40 was very, very key. Yeah,
That's
40.
right. The wilderness experienced
Ken, yes,
what? 40 years. Uh,
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Jesus appeared 40 days
Mm-hmm.
after he was resurrected. Before
Mm-hmm.
what? He ascended. Go ahead.
And now those who were in that cocoon
There
and
you go.
understand are being transformed into that butterfly.
All right, Malkiel, that's perfect. And let's press pause here. Not literally, but he brought out a brilliant point. Malkiel,
Okay.
you said 50. I
Mm-hmm.
said 40. Think back 10 years ago. And everyone on this call, tell me 10, 11, 12 years ago, or that's when you were making your transition.
Yes.
When
Dang.
things started, tell me I'm
Yes.
that's when things started changing, family,
Yes.
generally for all of us. Along
Yes.
that, really started to what?
Ken.
Evolve.
Yes.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct, Malkiel?
Absolutely shows.
You would tell you talked to me in terms of 9 years ago,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Now,
So,
Eitai,
Cain.
family. Okay, now we have to look at those 40 days in respect to Yomim.
Yes,
You
sir.
follow what I'm saying? Not 40 days, like,
Yeah, not
every, counting up to 40 days. We ain't talking about 40 days.
Right.
not a
That's right.
24-hour day, not a 24-hour day
Right.
at all.
There we go. There we go.
Right.
Right.
We're just talking about 40 in terms of a transitional period.
Right.
Right.
40,
Yeah.
look, you all, see, is going to, this is going to be perfect because 40 is the numerical value of the Hebrew letter mem, which
That's my letter.
relates to water in
Mm-hmm.
the alchemical process.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all hearing me?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Moses put
Right.
water and made the children drink it. And then what was their experience from that point on? Now see, 40 40 years wandering around the wilderness,
Running around. Right.
trying to what? Do those things internally that would allow them to make the transition into
Yes.
Right.
the promised land.
Yes.
To come out and be the butterfly.
That to come out and be the butterfly. And this word, well, we'll see it. This word, Maya, the singular aspect of water, talks about it talks about illusion. And now see, we know that what did we do in the emanation process? Bypass the fire,
Bypass. That's right. Bypass. Right.
plunge right into the water and
Right. That's
created
it.
a flaw.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right.
Now, if this
Mm-hmm.
see if it don't fit with what we've
It
been
must have
saying, then
quit.
maybe somebody might have an argument. But if it fits
I heard you,
perfectly,
Makiel.
I'm just clowning. I'm sorry.
so this thing is so perfect. Let's move forward.
Yes.
The hangman represents a fall in terms of ego or self-image. It means the death of the ego. This programmed perception that is false that we have of ourselves. It may also represent the loss, that is the relinquishing or sacrifice of the material things. Now, they say it like this, ain't nothing wrong with material things.
Right.
Nothing wrong with possessing them, but when they possess you, that's where the problem
Yes.
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
That's the
Yes.
problem. Mm-hmm.
Do not despair, for such is necessary in order to transform the lower nature into the higher self. Nazar, Malkiel, myself,
Mm-hmm.
we're in a process, and it might be others, but these are the ones that I know about. We're in a process where we are not dependent. We are learning to be what? Not dependent, unattached
And
from what? The solar system, the work system.
Okay.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm
we've been,
working on it.
right, everyone to a certain extent. Because if you're on this call, guess what? Like we pointed out the other day, you are unattached from the system that operates from the work system. This is the heart of the workday that we're on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
this
Dang.
this we are doing a very powerful ritual.
Yes.
A
Yes.
very powerful ritual. Now, see, we ain't waiting for the Shabbat to teach about this.
No.
Saturday,
Right.
we on here every day.
Gang.
Right.
It represents the loss or the relinquishing of the material things, for such is necessary in order to transform the lower nature into the higher self. We got to detach ourselves from every element of the solar system that what elevates or projects work, service, uh, labor as its highest ideal and the highest expression of what? Divinity.
Vanity.
And a lot of us, I mean, look at this system, you know, that's a source of self-esteem.
Absolutely.
And that's what
Absolutely.
people
Eitai.
identify with. The first thing they talk about now, see, is the type of, when you meet somebody, what type of job they got or not. If
Yeah, right.
if you're a garbage man, you know, I mean, you could be taking care of your family, but you at a cocktail party or you know, or the club, you don't want to tell nobody you a garbage man, and you could be making $20-$25 an hour.
Okay.
But we attach
Mhm.
self-esteem. We play. This is deeply ingrained with us
Yes.
that you are what it is that you do from 9 to 5. So I mean, we got to kill this. We got to kill that,
Mhm.
and we are in a very significant way.
Mhm.
Inevitably, we must go down before we can go up. Is that true, Malkiel?
That's
Absolutely.
true.
Did that happen?
That's true. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
See, but that was getting you unattached from it,
Mhm.
so it could free you to what? Operate cosmically.
Gang. Yes.
And while we hang in limbo, we contemplate our errors and determine how to transition them. And this is what each of us should be doing prior to what? Making this final step into transition. The alchemical literature states that the alchemist must sacrifice some gold to make the philosopher's stone. And in the context of Exodus, the goal was what? That old knowledge that had brought them
Mhm.
successfully to the transitional point. We want to tend
Mhm.
to hold on to it and keep looking back instead of what? Focusing our attention. And I'm getting ready to tell you what the Shabbat is. Moment by moment, focusing
Mhm.
your attention in the now.
Mhm.
KNOW. In the now.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Shows.
See, Malkiel, this is how you going to get to the billion.
Gang.
That's how you
Dang.
going to
Mhm.
get to it. Not focusing
Mhm.
on something
Mhm.
that you did before. You ain't never did it before.
Right.
That's
Was
a new
right.
thought.
Dang.
Ain't none of us
Yes.
ever did that before.
Right.
So
Mhm.
what is that old knowledge? I don't care if you was making $800,000 a year. That ain't a billion.
Mhm.
No.
You got to leave all that behind
Yes.
and
With the
focus and
caterpillar.
concentrate not on having $1 billion or whatever it is that is your intent in the future, but resting in the fact that you have it now.
Now. Bingo.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes.
There it is. Absolutely shows.
That's the
No, I got.
Shabbat.
That's the Shabbat.
That's the
Yes.
Shabbat.
Mm-hmm. That's the Shabbat. Absolutely shows.
And so it is with us on the mundane plane. The question is, how long will you remain suspended? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Now, see, you know, I'm in the transitional stage.
Absolutely.
I,
Absolutely.
I'm not holding on to nothing. Why? I haven't
Listen,
got up to this point. I haven't gotten the desire of my heart. I haven't gotten the intent.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get. I want to get to the promised land. I want to get
Dang,
everything
Yes.
dang,
that is coming to me.
Saying
Everything.
show
dang.
But that
everything.
means I must relinquish in order for my cup to be filled. What? I got to empty my cup.
got
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we
I
talked
pour it
about.
all out.
That's right. So we talked about Psalm 82, and the question that it was asking was, how long will you continue to wear the mask of or masquerade as a human? That's the question, family. That's the
Mm-hmm.
real question. Is not on what Nasik and I are saying or not saying. The real question, because if you answer this question, you can't help but agree with what we're saying. Does it make sense, Nasik? If you answer this well, if you answer this question, whether it's like the scriptures say, whether they will hear or forbear.
Oh,
Dang.
The diagram shows the parallel of the terrestrial human consciousness and the celestial, the divine or the God consciousness of the solar universe. So the divine consciousness allows you to do what? Transcend the solar universe. The human
Dang.
or the terrestrial consciousness obviously keeps you locked into the terrestrial plane.
Mm-hmm.
Where but you got to decide solar planes or the cosmic planes,
Right.
solar reality or the cosmic reality. Do you want to be the solar hero or do you want to be the cosmic hero? So the war, family, is not external, it is internal. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And strongholds is that, again, that Greek word akuroma, which refers to the arguments and reasonings by which a disputant attempts to fortify his or her opinion and defend it against his opponent. And this is what Nasik is talking about, these apparent enemies. These apparent, see, but it is not in the teaching, it's not in the teachers. The
Mm-hmm.
conflict is within you.
Yep.
within you. That's right.
And the unwillingness to do what? Get rid of what you have relied on up to now. That word stronghold is anything upon which one relies. Anything upon which one relies. So let's move forward, family. And we want to move into the discussion of the heavens. All right? The heavens, to further our understanding of this. Because this is directly related to the fundamental concept that we are that we have been given and that we are looking into and exploring now, and that is the prophetic Shabbat. Genesis 2:1, thus the heavens, Hashemayim, plural, and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had made. Shemayim is based on the word shameh, shameh, meaning to be lofty. All right. And Malkiel is related to that word Shem. Again, Shem. All right. Or shame, which is related to the name, which is related to something that is definite and conspicuous, definitely and conspicuously placed. All right. And this is related to the sun. It's related to the stars and those, and the sun and the star. I mean, that's is just talking about us. It's just talking about us. So the question again is, are you going to be a solar celebrity or are you going to be a cosmic celebrity? And a celebrity is related to this word shame, which means to be famous, conspicuously placed, definitely and conspicuous, to be famous, to be renowned, to be one of great renown or great report. The condition celebrity is the condition of being famous as well. A famous person, that is a star. Isn't that what we call them?
Yeah.
And now see, they began that in 1849.
1849.
They started using it in terms of a famous person. So again, if you have low self-esteem, which they knew that this would be a result of the captivity process, then you would never identify yourself as a star.
Right.
That was the age of transition, you understand, into what they call the Renaissance.
That's
the Enlightenment.
That's the date now. See, where
Right.
they started changing these things now.
Yeah.
That was 1849, 1849.
1849.
Okay, I'll make sure.
1849.
I wanted to ask, is celebrity and celestial, are they connected?
Yes, this is what we're showing now. Absolutely. I just didn't put celestial on there. I put star. But absolutely
okay.
correct, Ms. Ura. Yes, they are.
Totally.
All right. So we're talking about the prophetic Shabbat. The one thing that we want to point out, which again should be self-evident, is that God's divine beings create worlds for created beings to work in.
Yes.
And then they rest.
Yes.
Right.
God's divine being create worlds for created beings, the created beings that they create, to work in. And then they rest. God's divine beings do not work in the worlds they have created indefinitely, family. We weren't created, we emanated in here to do something. And when we do it, we should rest. We should know when we're finished, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then we rest.
So
We take a deep breath, we take a breath in and a breath out, and then we gone. We done with our
it's
work.
called it's called completion.
Called completion. The superimposed heavens in the Quran are the spatial dimensions in modern physics. But we're not going to focus on the physics so much. We want to focus on the energetic nature of this, the cosmic nature of it. The Quran frequently mentions the existence of 7 sama'awat. Sama'awat. The plural is of sama'a, which is customarily translated as heaven. The word is a cognate of the Hebrew shamayim. Putting this thing together.
Mm-hmm.
Each of the 7 heavens is depicted as composed of a different material in the Islam and Islamic prophets, that is, our ancestors, are resident in each. The first heaven is depicted as being made of silver and is the home of Adam and Eve. As well as the angels of each star. This is so, I'm telling you, our ancestors did this so brilliantly that
Brilliant,
we really
brilliant,
care.
Mm-hmm.
This is so simple.
brilliantly.
I had notes. I
Huh?
have notes on that.
Yeah,
I have notes on that. We had that again. The silver, gold, pearls,
yes,
white gold.
yes.
Okay.
We all have
All right.
this. The 7th heaven, I'm just going over it to lead into this. The
I'm
6th
say
heaven is depicted as being made of gold and is the home of John the Baptist and Jesus. Now, we just saw that in the Exodus, the gold was burnt.
Yeah,
Wasn't it burnt up?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this corresponds to the fact that, now see, the first 2 heavens make up the astral plane.
Uh-huh.
And it just simply saying that is your life within the solar system.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do we know this? Because in the Osirian myth, see, this is all allegorical, it's all
Mm-hmm.
mythical. In the Osirian myth, Set fashioned a chest, that is a box or a simulated reality, made of rare
Yeah,
cedar inlaid with
right,
ebony and ivory, white and
right.
black, hot and cold, with less rare gold and silver. That's the simulated reality. That's the astral plane.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, the 3rd heaven is depicted as being made of pearls. This is what we've all understood, the pearly gates of heaven, that we would appear before
right. That's
when we die, when we
yeah,
rest, when we finish
yeah.
our work, when we Shabbat,
Mm-hmm.
the pearly gates.
Mm-hmm.
This is the
Mm-hmm.
next step in the transition. You
Yes,
have to
yes,
let go
yes.
of the gold and silver.
Right. Right.
Judas, one of the disciples, betrayed Jesus for what? 30 pieces of
Yeah,
silver.
Mm-hmm.
right, right.
So
Yeah.
we are transitioning, family. We are transitioning. So
Now, it, Eitai,
Uh-huh.
just in contemporary time, it is stated that Du Bois was one that worked very closely with, and we've given him a lot of praise,
Yeah.
worked very closely with, you understand, the European Jew in terms of being a trader for education, you understand, at Harvard University, so forth, and a status in this world, you know,
Now see, he was very effective.
you know.
We are seeing evidence of that programming, of that entrainment, of that education that is so that knowledge is
Right, that's not
so
right.
deeply ingrained in us. It's causing us problems even now.
Yeah,
They did a work. They did a masterful work. But what we must realize is that our ancestors, that the work that they put in, now see, it can't even be compared.
no,
Mm.
no,
Can't
Right.
be
Well,
compared.
thank
no.
Right.
the ancestors for that. Why did Du Bois write that book, The Miseducation of the Negro?
I think
That was more miseducation.
wasn't that Carter Woodson that wrote that book?
That was
That
Carter
was
G.
kind
Woodson. Yeah, that was
Yeah, that
Carter
was
G.
Carter
Woodson.
Woodson, Mr. Ra.
Oh, okay. It was on my list. I remember in college early.
Right.
All right.
Leviticus 23, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of the 7th month. Let's stop there. 15 plus 7 equals 22.
Mm-hmm.
22 letters, 22 Hebrew letters. Once you
Mm-hmm.
say the 22, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, now see, you want to say them over again.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
The 22 tarots, the 22 major arcana of the tarot cards, the 22 trumps. You can look at all of those, and once you get to the 22nd, you're done unless you want to look at the same thing again and replay it. The 22
Mm-hmm.
chakras, once you've activated those, you can go on, and if there's some more besides those, and there are, you can look at your work of the
Mm-hmm.
22 that you've activated, not realizing that what you're done with that particular process, or you can go on to higher and greater things.
Mm-hmm.
Shall be what? The Feast of Tabernacles. Tabernacles, what is the word in Hebrew? What is the word in Hebrew for tabernacles? Temporary dwelling places.
Oh,
Sukkot.
I couldn't get this thing on. Yeah, Sukkot.
Right?
The booths.
Yeah, Sukkot. Sukkot.
Sukkot.
The booths. And how long are you
Move
supposed
back.
to do that, family?
7 days.
7 days. Do
And
you
you know how
rest on
long
the
that is.
do you rest on the seventh day? Do
I
you?
know if you're doing that for 7 days, I think the eighth day.
These are temporary dwelling places.
Temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Temporary. The
Controlled
knowledge,
by time.
the golden calf was temporary. The knowledge
Mm-hmm.
that leads us to a transition point is temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And on the first day, which would be what in the series? It would be the eighth day.
Yes.
We're going to understand perfectly today the prophetic Shabbat.
Mm-hmm.
shall be what? An holy convocation. Holy meaning what? Whole.
Wholeness.
You have reached wholeness. Ye shall do no servile work. That means that's a Shabbat.
Mm-hmm.
That ends the work.
That ends the word.
7 days ye shall offer an offering made by what? Fire.
Fire.
That's the calcination process, family.
Calcination.
Unto the Lord on the 8th day shall be what? A whole convocation. Unto me. No,
A
unto
whole
you.
convocation. Right.
Unto you.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Unto you. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you finished with working.
Mm-hmm.
And ye shall offer an offering made by fire. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein any more. They should have put forever.
Right. Right.
Now listen, beside the Sabbaths of the Lord, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and beside all your free will offering, which ye shall give unto the Lord, also in the 15th day of the 7th month, we've already talked about it, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and the 8th day shall be what? The Sabbath.
Okay.
This is the transition from what?
Mm-hmm.
Incorporated in Sukkot, temporary dwelling places, is what?
Mm-hmm.
The prophetic Shabbat.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel, 1 Samuel, the 16th chapter. Listen, family. Now, see, if this don't prove that this stuff ain't literal and these aren't literal characters, I don't know what to tell you. This is an allegory. And Yishai, Jesse, made Shamayim, Shama, the 7th son,
Wow.
to
Mm-hmm.
pass by, to pass by. And he said, neither hath the Lord chosen this.
That is clear as clear can be.
If y'all don't know that our ancestors did this for us, y'all ain't in contact with the ancestors. That's all.
Right.
And you're not
Okay.
respecting. You're not respecting what they've done for you.
Okay.
Wow.
And Jesse
And
made
and
and Jesse made 7 of his sons to do what? Pass. This is laying the groundwork for Passover. Pass
mm-hmm.
by. He ain't talking about no sons. He's talking about Yomim.
Yeah.
And Samuel said unto Jesse, the Lord hath not chosen these. And Samuel unto Jesse, here are all thy children, are here all thy children? And he said, there remaineth yet a Shabbat rest. There's a Shabbat rest that remaineth
Mm-hmm.
for the people of Israel.
Dang.
Yet the youngest, and he would be what?
Mm-hmm.
Number what?
Number 8.
The eighth son. And what was his name?
David.
That means beloved. Beloved.
David. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And behold, he does what? Keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch him, for we will not sit down. That word translate as turn around, change, or transform
Mm.
till he come hither. We shall not
Eitai, what's the word you said it was?
it's the word sit down. I didn't incorporate it in yet, Nasi.
Oh, okay, okay. Sit down. Okay.
But it means to it. Trust me. But I mean, look it up yourself. But
No, no, no.
no. That's to everyone. I'm encouraging everyone to look it up, and it means to change or transform. Till he come hither, till we recognize that it's not the seventh, but the eighth. You're not going to transform. You're not going to change. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy. That means red. And red does not mean what you think it does. And this Nasik is putting it in the west,
Wow.
referring to what Dane Calloway and them is talking about, that these are the copper color,
Right.
that these are the copper
Mm-hmm.
colored individuals.
Right.
But
Right.
it means much more than that as well. And withal
Yeah.
of beautiful countenance. But we'll stick with that. That's how the European describe, am I right or wrong? The
Dang.
indigenous
Yes.
Americans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And goodly, this is exactly how they describe them. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, Mashiach, anoint him. And Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. Now, let me ask you all a question. When Samuel did this, was there another king on the throne?
At the time of Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Was there another king on the throne, family?
Mm-hmm.
Saul.
Saul,
Yeah, right.
Shaul.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did
Right.
that cause a conflict and controversy?
Cain it did.
David had,
Absolutely.
Saul has slain his thousands.
Mm-hmm.
David his tens of thousands. And what did he try to do? Take his spear and pin David to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
One form of knowledge being on the throne. But family, in the midst
Boy.
of these kings, in the midst of his brethren, in the midst of these kings, shall what? Or in the days of these kings, shall Yah establish his kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Another knowledge that would be what? Dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Okay, Chef.
And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. We're going to break this down further in a future class. But let's look at the 8th day. Shemini is the word meaning 8th, the ordinal number. Now, I want you all to look very closely at what our ancestors did for us. Look at the structure upon which the hangman is tied to, is hanging.
That's a kid, huh?
That's a chet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a chet, representing
Right.
8. We gonna look now. See, if we don't get this now, we're not gonna get it.
Right. Might as well stop.
We might as well stop.
Might well stop.
In the Boda version of the tarot shown above, the frame on which the man hangs is drawn so that it resembles the Hebrew letter Bet, which is the 8th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Then they say this, they make this statement. Nobody knows the significance of this. Y'all wish that was true.
Yeah.
Y'all wish that was true.
Yeah, right.
So I say, really? You're gonna say that. This is our, see what they don't realize now, see, and what some of us are slow to realize. This is our stuff. This is part of this knowledge is part of our inheritance.
Right.
That we are coming in possession of.
Yes.
An alternate meaning of this card is suspended mind. That is you got to suspend the mind.
Right.
This is what Speak has been on and been teaching us. The difference between what? Consciousness and a mind. So if we've been paying attention and we've accepted that, then this is a simple next step in our understanding, which the Hindus call samadhi. This is going to knock y'all out. It is an exalted mental state.
Wow.
Samadhi, the divine mental state. In which one attains the divine consciousness of pure being, divinity. Now this takes us back.
Eitai.
Yes, sir.
Eitai.
Yes. Nasi.
This is too much here. I just now let me show y'all something now. You know, they say out of the mind of babes, certain things will be spoken, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, I got a son that's in the States, and I have to tell you, at this point, I got to stop us and let us see where we are and what's actually happening. Now, he just turned 18, and he finishes school, graduates in June. And I promise I'm definitely got to go now. I really got to go now because what he have just shared with me is direct, and I want to read it. So what he just laid out about this consciousness, I want us to hear what the guy say. He sent me an email about quantum physics. I had no idea the guy was dealing with no quantum physics.
Wow.
18 years old?
It's your age, son.
I'm gonna send it to you. You gotta see this here. This is exactly what we're talking about. What he is teaching us now This is exactly what this now this is a European guy now, but
Wow.
I want to share just exactly what he said so that you can see exactly. Let me get it. Let me get it here.
Take your
This is too much. This is too much.
time. Take your time now.
This is really, really mind-boggling.
Look, I mean, y'all got to see that it's something that is greater than us individually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This
Okay.
this
Mm-hmm.
this this is
Mm-hmm.
this energy is collected, and we are all a
Yes.
part of
Man,
this energetic vortex.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We we
Yes.
we just got to give it up. We got to surrender now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
okay, here we go. Now, I'm going to make sure that I get the right thing here.
While you're doing that, now
Uh,
I'll just explain that
yeah.
where we're going with this, what this has led us up to, is something that we've talked about and I've taught on rather before. Y'all remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It all leads back to the same place. You cannot get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Samadhi,
That's right.
the eighth limb of yoga. Yep, Cain.
That's right. Come on now.
Yes.
Come on. Anytime you're ready, Nasi.
I'm having a problem playing it so I can get right, so I can read exactly. I'm trying to get to the point to read it. I got a lot of stuff. I mean, let me delete some of this stuff off of you.
No problem. I'll move on and just interrupt me when you get
It,
it, Nasi.
the,
Yeah, yeah, move on, and then I'll get it to us.
I say that's Yoela's son.
Right, right.
I
No,
know
that
that.
ain't your other
Hey,
son. That's my son.
I know your son. You know what I'm saying. The birth
Yeah, yeah,
mother.
yeah. That's the one I'm
Yeah,
talking
I
about.
want to make sure that's the baby that I was cheering for.
Right.
Him and his sister came.
So again, it's this eighth day. It's connected again to the hangman. It brings us back to this central symbolism that we started at, and it is connected to the Hebrew letter chet. And so they really challenge us by saying, you know, nobody knows the significance of this. But this is telling us that the mind must be what? Suspended. The human
Mm-hmm.
mental state. And it relates to this term that we have gone over before in previous lessons called samadhi. Samadhi. And samadhi is a state of intense concentration achieved through meditation. In Hindu yoga, this is regarded as the final stage at which union with the divine is reached before or at death. The eighth and final step in Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga is samadhi. The word samadhi literally means putting together, syncretizing, becoming one, and is often
Mm-hmm.
translated as integration or absorption. The eighth limb is the practice of the entire program. The other 7 limbs, as well as the final attainment of being. See more at Samadhi below. So, Mr. Raj, you pointed out Samadhi being the 8th limb of yoga. It is talking specifically about everything that we have been talking about. This living in union with your higher self, making this transition from human to divine. The liberation of this state comes from transcending the confines of the ego. This is what holds us back. The ego is the identity that we have gotten through what? Education, entrainment,
Okay.
programming.
Okay.
And we cannot deny, none of us can deny that we've gone through that process and that this aspect of false self and the false identity, the persona, the Tara persona, is developed in us and is deeply ingrained within us,
Yeah.
the one
Okay.
degree or another. So we must understand that this is what is causing us difficulty with this information. You are no longer
Hold on,
wrapped.
hold on, hold on. Come to the house.
You are no longer wrapped up in the trappings of like, dislike, and judgment. I'm going to repeat that because this is what most of us do. You are no
Thanks,
longer
Church.
wrapped up in the trappings of like, dislike, judgment, worry, and fear. Because as we'll see later, once we get deeper in this, when you say I like, who is that is liking? Or I don't like, who is that specifically that dislikes?
Mm-hmm.
Who is the me that we refer to, or the I? All time is it our divine aspect, or is it this ego aspect?
Mm-hmm.
This false
Mm-hmm.
persona. You become completely absorbed. What? This is what we told y'all. In the now, K-N-O-W, in the present moment.
Yes.
That is the Shabbat. Today,
Yes.
today, if you hear his voice, and his voice is going to be what? Presenting a new word, a new thought. Harden not your heart.
Okay.
It's a hard thing not to do. It's a hard thing to relinquish. Harden not your heart, but make it your goal, your intent to enter into this rest moment by moment, continuously.
Patreon.com/Dane Calloway or PayPal.me/.
At all times while remaining in total awareness. And again, we're going to lay this thing out so that we can do this step by step, family.
Yes.
That, so we all can be involved in this process together if you're willing. This is a pure state of being. As you go through your daily tasks, you are no longer replaying the past or looking into the future. Malkiel,
Can't.
isn't that what we had to get? Nazar,
Okay.
isn't that what we're going
Yes.
through? You can't
Yes.
do that. You'll drive yourself crazy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Longing,
And again,
longing for, look, going toward wealth and abundance and sovereignty, economic sovereignty and independence, and constantly reflecting on, man, when I had the job, when I used to cash them checks.
right. Yes. Can't
Yep.
show.
Ain't no way you can do it.
No way.
No way.
You'll be so messed up. You'll need a psychiatrist. You have panic attacks and all that kind of you'll be so messed up.
Yes.
That
Yes.
on this path, Nazar on this path,
Uh-huh.
it's impossible.
Yes.
You got to kill them thoughts every time they present themselves.
Absolutely.
You will be living in fear.
Yes.
And not successful in anything that you do in terms of advancing toward your intent of economic
Yes.
sovereignty. Tell me if I'm
Yes.
right or wrong.
You're right.
Absolutely.
Eitai,
Okay.
yeah, I want to ask a question. When we are in a dream state
Yes.
and the visions that we have then, how would I describe that conscious wise? I don't want to say unconscious, subconscious, or is that subconscious? Would that be correct?
Yeah. That is
Meaning it.
that. I mean, if we want to use that term, yes, it's coming from the subconscious, but it's just the term is it's just coming from your essence, an unknown, a
Yes.
previously unknown and untapped into
Eitai,
source or reservoir. All
All
right.
right. So
Go
I
ahead.
think Abba was trying to say something.
Yeah.
Abba.
Eitai.
Uh-huh. Nasik, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, you
All
ready?
right. I'm going to read this to you, okay? Then it's 2 points, okay?
All right, good. Take your time. Take your time.
Got a moment. Okay, 1 second here. Here we go. The first one said, everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. Okay?
Right.
That's the first point. Now we're going to move to the next point. This is by Neil Bohr.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
here we go. Here we go. It says consciousness cannot be accounted for in the physical terms. In physical terms. For consciousness is absolutely fundamental. It cannot be accounted for in terms of anything else. I'll read it again.
Right.
Consciousness cannot be accounted for in physical terms. For consciousness is absolutely fundamental. It cannot be accounted for in terms of anything else. It can't be nothing else, but it's consciousness. And
Right.
this is this energy that Eitai is talking about. One more point. This is by a fellow by Aaron Schrodner.
I'm super.
So the bottom line here is that what Eitai is explaining to us about this consciousness and this state that he's talking about, you cannot fathom this in this physical, the real consciousness that we talk about, reality, it cannot be, understood if you're talking about maintaining this physical element that you're talking about in terms of this movement to what they said, divine consciousness, a pure being.
Correct.
You cannot deal with it in this physical thing that we talk about. I'm gonna send it to you, Eitai. Very profound. The guy lays this stuff out, and I'm gonna tell you, it's taking us exactly where we are going on this line.
Very good.
Very, very profound. Very, very profound. I mean, he's laying this out in simple terms, so that it can be understood. Okay?
Right. Very good. Looking
All right. I just wanted to make sure that, because I had no idea the sun was anywhere even close to something like this here.
Very good.
To say that,
But that's your bane. What you expect?
Yeah, I see.
Just like you said when I was in
the tree.
Right.
Yeah, you claimed me for your bot, so that's what you expected of me when I was home. Remember?
All right. Let's move forward. So samadhi, again, this is connected, family, to the chet, the 8th letter. This is what we're talking about, this idea of 8th, the 8th yom. The 8th Yom Nasik. This is the prophetic Shabbat. Eighth meaning the first day of a new beginning,
Yes.
of a new cycle.
New cycle with a new knowledge.
That's right. It would have to be. So Samadhi brings freedom from the cycle of karma. That is the solar cycle. So, but if you not like us, and if you still are addicted to work, which that's what it is, an addiction, addicted to this idea of work, then
Right.
of course there's going to be some conflict to that. Look, I don't want to work for nobody.
Say that.
Nobody ever
Eitai,
came.
say that again so I can hear you.
I don't care what you call. I don't want to work for nobody or no thing. Samadhi brings you freedom from the cycle of karma. And we saw that cycle of karma when we look at what? The solar system. The solar system, inefficient, Nasi, repetitive, self-perpetuating, self-refueling, which is a result of the never-ending desires. Never-ending desires. I have one desire, Shabbat, from now on.
Shabbat.
Yes.
Okay.
I got one Shabbat
Yeah.
now, and it's not really a desire, family, because every moment I Shabbat.
Say that.
It's
Say
a
that.
mental process. It's a mental process. You know, when I first stopped working, I was constantly, well, man, should I get this job or should I get that job? I got this bill coming, you know.
Me three.
Likewise, shows. Likewise.
Okay, I mean, you go through this. It's
Yes. Yes.
withdrawal symptoms. It's
Yes.
withdrawal symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Now I gotta go out and get a hit. I gotta have somebody write me a check. That's my hit.
Right.
But it literally, you have to deprogram yourself. Now, see, it's a hard thing. It's a difficult thing,
Yes, it is.
especially within this environment.
Okay.
And Malkiel, being around
Yes, sir.
people, being around people that we are, family, they
Yes.
don't understand what it is we doing.
Absolutely shows.
You left that job with all them benefits and you was
Right.
what is you doing?
You great.
Very difficult thing.
No question.
Very difficult thing, but we have to make this thing, successful. We have to demonstrate power in this new information. Go ahead.
Eitai, if looking back on it now, we basically just went through the fire.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
And you got to go through that fire. You got to burn it up. Burn that gold up.
Yes.
Each of us are going to have to, if we desire to Shabbat, that means cease from working. And I'm talking about work in every sense of the word.
Yes.
Look, we got to go through that fire. So, which is a result of the never-ending desires, the vasanas they're referred to, and memories.
Yes.
Yes.
Man, I remember when Nazar. Man, I remember when I had this amount in my bank account. Man, my credit score was way. I could go into any store, just sign. Now, Nasik, I have no desire any longer to have that system rule
Right.
over me and have
Yes.
dominance over me.
Yes. Yes.
And family, I'm telling you, this is fundamental.
Yes.
But we're going to demonstrate the power of a new thought. We are demonstrating it
Hallelujah.
to greater and greater degrees. What
Mm-hmm.
this means is that you will still have desires, such as hugging your children or eating food, but
Mm-hmm.
you won't be a prisoner
No.
Right.
of the
Yes.
melodramatic cycle,
Yes.
the cycle of the solar system that karma brings, as the ego is continually concerned with what's me and mine, my job, like that was ever your job.
Right.
Your higher self knows that there is
They
a,
were just renting you,
that's right,
renting you.
to take it away from you and give it to somebody else. How was it yours?
Yeah. You could be performing good, but they don't like you.
That's right. Concerned with what's me and mine, your higher self knows that there is never a lack of anything
Mm-hmm.
because there is
Mm-hmm.
no separateness.
Yes.
This is the idea, family, that we have to rest with,
Mm-hmm.
that we are one with what it is that we desire. So if we
Mm-hmm.
are one with it, again, there is no further need to desire it. You become
Mm-hmm.
unattached. But family, this is easier said than done. We realize this on
Mm-hmm.
any level, Malkiel, on any level.
Gang. Gang.
Therefore, all fear subsides, and what is left is pure love.
Mm.
Getting to that heart intelligence, not
Mm-hmm.
talking about an emotional love. As we'll
Right.
see as we move forward, we're talking about the heart response of what? The higher faculties,
Dang.
not intellectual, but what we feel.
Yes.
There is no separation between you and the object of your desire, that is the heart's desire or your intent. You will experience instantaneous manifestation. This is what we're moving towards.
Mm-hmm.
Instantaneous manifestation.
Yes.
State of Samdi. Now again, family, you can't claim it unless what? You can do it.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we are in the process of transitioning from the seventh to the eighth day. But we're going to
Mm-hmm.
know,
Right.
Malkiel, that once we're in
Mm-hmm.
the eighth day, listen, we're not going to be talking about it in terms of theory or concept
Right.
and
Right.
idea. We will be able to show the ability
Yes.
to demonstrate
Yes.
the ability of what? Instantaneous manifestation.
Gang.
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 Now, if we can't do that, then we need to stop being on these calls
Mm-hmm.
Gang.
Mm-hmm.
because we not the ones.
Mm-hmm.
We not the ones. And then we can go on back into the old system. We better go back in there
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
and do exactly what is demanded of us
Mm-hmm.
under that particular knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Because what? We can't manifest this knowledge. But I'm saying
Right.
like this today, we're gonna do it.
Say
We're
that.
going
We're
Say
doing it.
that.
So I'm
to
putting
show.
Yeah.
it out there.
We
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting it out there. If you cannot manifest instantaneous, if I can't do it, I can't claim Samdi. I can't claim that I'm entering into the rest.
And that now, Eitai is confirmation with these classes. Is confirmation with my personal journey when I uh, uh, claim that the number 6 is my vibrational number, and then a couple of days later,
It's
I
instantly
find,
manifested.
I find a penny and a nickel. That tells me I have the power to manifest quickly.
Now,
Okay.
some people now here. Let's talk about this now, because some people will say, "Hey, well, that's just 6 cents."
Right.
Come on. Do you know it's just as easy to manifest 6 million or $6 billion as to do what you just did?
That came. Absolutely. See,
I mean,
and
what does the cosmos care?
right,
It's just a matter of a matter of scale,
right, yes. Mm-hmm.
and there is no height and depth and volume and amount
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the non-physical world.
Came.
It's a manifestation, it's evidence, Malkiel, of your ability to manifest what? A new thought instantaneously.
Yes. Came shows. That simple.
We'll get to the big money,
No question.
but do the small money first.
Right.
Some
And
people,
and
some people can imagine, but it's based on what? Where you are
mm-hmm.
and how empty your cup is. We're in the process of emptying that out, family. We're gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
We're
No
in the
question.
process of doing this.
Yes.
The translation of absorption for the word samdi explains this phenomenon. If you are not separate from that which you desire, then you already have or possess the object of your desires. So theoretically, when you desire your soulmate, your money, a baby, a new job, we ain't gonna put a new job in there, a new house from a place of samdi, but we'll put a new job in there because people are in what? Different levels of transition
Mm-hmm.
at different stages of transition. So that's okay. I'm not gonna put a new job in there. I don't want one. From a place of samdi, your energy field attracts it because you are it and it is you. So, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of our mantra, the mantra that I do is I am wealth, wealth I am. I am wealth, wealth
Mm-hmm.
I am. I am wealth,
Mm-hmm.
wealth I am. I am
Mm-hmm.
abundance, abundance I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am
Mm-hmm.
abundance, abundance I am. I am prosperity,
Mm-hmm.
prosperity I am. I am
Mm-hmm.
economic sovereignty
Mm-hmm.
I am. And I keep what? Programming myself with a
Mm-hmm.
different program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is what?
Okay.
Opposite of the fact that I am my job is me. I am
Right.
my
Yes.
job is me.
Mm-hmm.
Worry, anxiety, and fear are all polar opposites of samdi because those states stem from the false notion that there is some sort of wall, like Jericho, in between your needs and wants and desires and their fulfillment. Manifestation power in this state goes beyond detachment, that is, non attachment, getting back to non attachment to outcomes, getting back to power versus force, which is level 200. Now, look, if you're giving any credence to the book, Power versus Force, and you're struggling with this idea, and this is all right, you're below level 200.
Mm-hmm.
You're still attached
Okay.
to outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
You're below level
Mm-hmm.
200, and it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to because
Mm-hmm.
we all have to have a starting point to know where we're
Yes.
starting from.
Okay.
And then what? Move from that point. Make it your attention, your intention, and focus your attention on what? Transitioning from that level to the next level. And you know, again, we get a high water mark that when we become unattached to outcomes, then we know what level we're on. And then we can do what? Move on to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's level 200. It goes beyond attachment of the fifth, or I'm sorry, detachment or non-attachment of the fifth and sixth limbs, and surrender, that is neutrality, level 250 of the seventh limb. Now, neutrality is what? This point where you're suspended, where you're hanging, you're neutral. You're not for or against. You're not pro or con. That's the seventh limb. But it requires, family, a transition to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because in those instances, you are still entertaining the idea that you are separate from the divine essence. But Samdi, the prophetic Shabbat, you are the divine creator. So your mantra should go something like this: I am the divine creator am I. I am the divine creator. But if you see the divine creator as being separate from you, you'll think that
Mm-hmm.
that's blasphemy.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be
Mm-hmm.
you won't be comfortable with that. Why? Because there is still a sense, to some degree or another, of separation. You are the divine creator rather, fully realized as the illusion of anything separate. This is what Nasik was talking about. Falls away like an old layer of skin. Samedi means Saturday in French, but there's a new Saturday. There's a new Shabbat. Saturday was not intended ever to be the highest ideal of the Shabbat. Now, see, that was a tabernacle, a
Okay.
building, a
Sukkot.
sukkah,
Yes.
a
Mm-hmm.
temporary dwelling place until what?
Mm-hmm.
You would reach that would carry you to what? The next transition point,
Mm-hmm.
where you would what? Transition to a higher understanding, a higher knowledge based on a new word and new knowledge. And so this is the representation, the personification of samadhi in barren samdi, or barren samedi, the Lord of the dead. And look what he got around his neck: a serpent,
Mm-hmm.
representing that what? He is the messenger of a new knowledge that would what? Do what he does, lead us through the underworld,
Okay.
through this new knowledge
Mm-hmm.
to the root of what produced the organic knowledge, the organic wisdom that what? Produced the simulated reality,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
age of light, the age of light. So we see all of these words in the Hebrew that connect us to the eighth day, this understanding. that underlies, like what Nasik was talking about, that these are the words and the symbols that underlie the narrative, the literal narrative that lead us to what? A higher understanding, a higher understanding, a higher overstanding of these terms such as Shabbat, Shavuot, Passover, Sukkot. These things were, again, to lead us into a higher knowledge, a higher understanding, and a higher level of manifestation, to lead us beyond this, what? Never-ending, vain cycle of work and worship and laboring and toiling, and lead us into what? The eternal rest, the prophetic rest. So with that, I'm going to end here, and we'll begin here on the next time. But family, this should be enough so that we have reached a plateau of understanding and
Okay.
a plateau of wisdom, so that we can understand exactly what to do, exactly what we need to do on an individual basis, on a personal level, whether it is making this transition with the next step, or your next step is leading you up to the point where you transit, where you can really uh, uh, conceptualize what this transition means. So with that, I'm going to say wholeness and open it up for questions and comments.